Tell me where do I go? Tell me where do I take us? Your heart is starting to slow. May the water be safe as I dive in. Bloodstains washing underneath the waves. I'll be reaching out to keep you safe.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another week of Aegis Defender League action, brought to you, of course, by Aegis Esports GG. This week, I can promise everybody, if you've been tuning in through our 2 weeks, we will cover every single game in all of its entirety this time round. But what we do have that will repeat from last week is the great analytical mind, Mr. Jordan Bot. Jordan, how are we feeling? Are you excited for another look at this Dark Star division?
Great to be here. Thanks for the intro. Very excited to see what these teams have to offer. We're looking at some teams coming off a hot week one, both teams coming over with the victory. We'll see what they can do head to head.
Yeah, exactly. And these are two teams that I've actually been fortunate enough to cover in a different league. Last split, they've had a couple of roster switch arounds here on both sides, but so the rosters don't really in a lot of ways look too similarly, but I can attest to the fact that when it comes to Iridescent Hydra, they are playing with their core four with a couple of switch arounds, and then for Novasphere Gaming Myth here, they're just keeping their captain, Surge, who is their AD carry player. So outside of that, it's a whole new roster, and like you mentioned, Jordan Bot, through 1 week at least, they're undefeated.
Some fresh faces and some new stories to be told. So let's see what tonight will bring.
Yeah, and it sounds like we are still waiting to try and figure out this draft wall stuff. I do know. If we are good now, we should run it through. But this is the reality of trying to avoid the spectator bug delays. We're playing replays, so that means that the amazing PVS is running this draft wall himself. He's just mirroring what the teams pick. But we are into the picks and bans here. ID Hydra, they did get side selection, and they'll start on the blue side, Jordan Bot. So similar conversations from last week, right? What are we looking to be one right now off the bat for this IDH squad?
Going off of what they both showed week one, it looks like both teams are absolutely in agreement that we are in a hard range support shielding meta, and that bot lane is largely tools for a larger picture. So we're talking Seraphine, we're talking Karma, we're talking Milio. These are all very highly contested picks. We're talking Senna. So a lot of these super safe, super scaly picks that enable a topside carry. So we'll be seeing what that will unfold. Obviously, a lot of these are flexible, so Karma not being banned so far in the ban phase, very strong B1, Seraphine, Senna, these are all acceptable picks, so we'll see what direction they go with.
Certainly acceptable in the eyes of the meta, not Jordan Bot's favorite picks as the valiant engaged support player you are. Senna is going to be the lock in here, which I don't hate as a B1, because I think there are a couple of ways you can go with Senna, even if she is mostly in that support fasting role. There's still a couple of champions you can go to here, and by picking the Senna, in a lot of ways, it kind of eliminates a lot of her, the NSG taking maybe one of those prio picks with Senna away from them, because they don't really work if you don't have Senna.
Such a scary champion to be in the draft. It infinitely scales. It's got a really lane bully setup, and if you put a Tom Kench right beside it, how are you going to kill anything down there, right? So Ash Jinzhao as the response. So we do have a way. We have engaged tools, we have go buttons, and we have a primary sort of carry bruiser jungle on this side of Nova.
And the Poppy is going to get locked in next year. Like you mentioned, though, the TK is up there for grabs. I will give credit. One of the good picks besides Senna is Ashe. You can just throw an AD carry role. So that one was taken away by Novasphere Gaming Myth. Maokai and Poppy back to back is really intriguing. I don't think you make either of those picks unless one of them is going with Senna bot, or you have a even deeper pocket pick that's not Tom Kench, because I just assume Jordan Bot, this is going to be a Tom Kench ban from at some point.
I'm smelling a Maokai support. And that might just be me. I might be cooking a little bit too hard, but I think I saw it in one of the drafts that one of these teams ran in week 1. It's a powerful, good answer into what Ashe wants to do, long range engage. We can nullify that, but we can also have go buttons of our own. And then the Poppy might be a top jungle flex. We'll have to see how the draft unfolds. So bans on either side. The Nico Silas on one side, Indra, and Tryndamere on the other. We'll see what Nova will go from here.
Yeah, it looks like what you're talking about, Novasphere Gaming Myth also have a similar idea. They've done the research, which is always a good thing to see. I would expect it from teams in this league, and they don't think that Tom Kench would ever even be a pick here. It does leave a lot of flexibility if ID Hydra really wanted to try and get some off guard. Like, you could pick TK here and then throw Maokai and jungle, Poppy top. Honestly, you could vice versa them too. I've seen Maokai top working really well here, but they lock in the Hwei, which is just really doubling down on that scaling factor you were talking about, Jordan. Hwei does so well, I feel like, from range as the game goes on with the Senna.
Yep, we really needed to see a lot of heavy damage dealers coming out in the last 2 picks here, and the Hwei and the Aatrox as an answer has been a good way to round out this team composition. There isn't a huge edge that I give to either side, but then I see the R5 Kled, and that is a hard lane counter that only works if you get it snowballing.
Yeah, Kled is he falls off. Well, he obviously falls off his mount if he gets low enough. No pun intended there. But if, yeah, like mentioned, if you're not rolling out a lane, it's kind of like how I look at Lucian right now in the meta. It's like you kind of need to come out of the lane with some sort of lead, or it's going to fall flat when it needs to spike the hardest. Kled is certainly going to be the same thing here. But now, like you mentioned, we kind of get a holistic look at both these squads. And the first thing screens out to me, Jordan Bot, is these two teams are going to be pretty fine handshaking this game to go at least 25-30 minutes plus.
Oh, absolutely. We are seeing a very clear focus from Novasphere that we are going top lane. Like that Kled does not work in this day and age unless we get it a gold lead, right? So heavy focus coming in from the top side. We can't really tell based on the other matchups what really is going to happen. A lot of sustain coming in from the Maokai Senna, Ashe Milio. That's not an explosive lane, so I agree absolutely with your assessment that we're got to keep an eye on that top matchup very closely. However, the rest of it, a lot of safety, a lot of range, and we're going to be waiting to see which objectives these teams are going to want to fist fight over.
Certainly 2 drafts that have shown not only that these teams have done their research on their opposing opponents, and they've had a lot of history with these squads, but the coach is really shining in this draft. And if you're ever curious, guys, there is a possibility, if you feel like you can coach League of Legends, that you have that possibility. And Aegis is luckily sponsored by the best when it comes to that. Coachify GG here. Aegis Esports League of Legends is sponsored by Coachify GG for the winter 2024 split. Coachify GG provides tools for esports coaches. They can manage their teams and players while also finding new students. So make sure to click the panel. It's at the bottom there, located below the stream, to check out their website for more information. We are very happy that Coachify is once again back here with Aegis, but I'm even happier to get on to Summoner's Rift here. We're not going to have to worry about any spectator freezing, no nothing. We are getting right on to Summoner's Rift. Let's see exactly who wants to start out with a better step. ID Hydra versus Novasphere Gaming Myth.
Nothing like that feeling of going 2-0 in the first 2 weeks. So which team will come out with a tremendous amount of momentum out of the gate here early season?
Like we talked about, gonna watch for that top lane matchup. I already see Tylander is going Ignite Flash, so you sacrifice your global presence to try and bully P. Diddy here. P. Diddy, by the way, is the only player on this ID Hydra roster that is new. Everybody else across the board here played on ID Hydra's banner last split in a couple of amateur leagues. You've got Sutek, Hotline, and Epic Fail Guy. They're all playing their respective roles from last split. And Valter used to be the top laner, swaps down to support to bring in P. Diddy. And Well, we've already seen Jordan Bot. They obviously like this guy a lot to put him in the top lane, give him that Aatrox, let him have a huge impact on the game.
We are going to see how this pans out. We're going to have to protect that Aatrox pick with a lot of presence. I love the tools on either side. There's a lot of nullifying coming in from the Maokai's kit, the Senna, and the Poppy to deny Xin Zhao Kled type of aggression. But we're going to see which team can get the surprise on the other and who's going to pounce on who.
Early on, though, we see Neo get a bit of damage thrown on top of his head there just to get that ward down. Stack already claimed for Epic Fail Guy. That's always got to feel nice, as we will certainly be tracking that going forward, as that's the entire objective of the Senna lane. I feel like this bottom lane might just kind of be a snooze fest unless Valter finds some sort of flash angle.
Yeah, with the Maokai having teleport, you'd be very surprised to see a tremendous amount of aggression. I'm just going to keep an eye on the top lane and the junglers. I think that is our featured matchup here.
What? You're telling me early game we're tracking junglers? Never heard of that concept before, Jordan Bot. Never in my life. Well, it looks like so far they are kind of, I don't want to say mirroring each other. They both on their top side camps. A lot of good wards coming across from Novasphere Gaming Myth to at least track Sutek, as we already see Thailander getting dismounted early.
Yeah, I imagine the Kled is trading a lot of his HP in exchange for some lane control, or maybe it looks like he's trying to pull wave onto his side to maybe open up for a Xin Zhao possibility. Xin Zhao is done his 3 camp faster than Poppy, and here he comes.
Is roaming down here. Sutek is here as well. Both level 3. Red buff in the hands of Ponyboy. And he likes this fight a lot more up against Sutek, who does not get the stun against the wall. Lethal Temple procs already firing. This is all Ponyboy. Sutek
gets here first.
already,
the collapse is coming through.
Yeah.
Oh, he has to flash here.
Stalled out just long enough. It's going to have to be a flash. Thailander waiting over the wall. So just when you thought Ponyboy has the upper hand, Sutek walks out a lot better for wear. Thailander now, though, wants to fight P. Diddy back here, trying to avoid those sweet spots. Still mounted up, flash away. And the top river fighting just continues.
Thailander's going to be so happy that he got the flash out there without committing either of his summoners. The next rotation is going to look really good for them. But first blood on the Senna.
That is the purge that you have to swore to if you play Senna bottom lane. And wow, the kill threat coming from an Ash Melio, you don't rarely see that in a lot of these matchups.
That campfire damage along with the auto slow, it just keeps coming. And if we're going to overstep just a little bit, it's back to spawn for the Senna. And no TP on the Senna either, so that's really going to hurt.
Yep, this wave is going to crash. We'll be able to get back here. I keep forgetting the Valter is also the one CSing, but hey, a Maokai trying to CS under turret up against double range, that is not fun for Valter at all.
Yeah, and the way these Senna lanes typically work, you're accepting that the melee champion is not going to contest CS to an extent, so falling far behind is going to be made up for with the Senna Souls. Bit of a cheater champion there in terms of economy, so Epic Fall Guy going to be eating good. No problem there.
No problem at all if you're talking Novasphere Myth bottom lane as well. I mean, Surge gets that early kill. Ash can also scale up pretty well in this role. Hold on, Thailander does get the pullback. I thought he might look for more, but it feels like it's only a matter of time before somebody goes all out in that top lane. Tension building.
Yep. That Aatrox flash being down, some revisits. Oh, here comes the all-in, and we're gonna miss the bear chain on a rope.
That's rough. That's real rough. That would have at least been, I think, a kill with Ignite. But instead, P. Diddy gets to limp away, catch this wave under turret. Thailander just doesn't have enough HP on Skarl to really even warrant going for some sort of crazy dive here.
He does have a tremendous amount of control in the lane, so Xin Zhao is pathing up again, and the end of his path is going to lead right into those Void Grubs. But here comes the dive.
He gets the dismount, Ignite over top, and it's going to be a trade even with that turret aggro reset.
Okay.
And you'll take that if you're on either side.
Yep, it does favor the Kled a little bit more. The wave state is a lot better on that side of things, and we see Xin Zhao get that recall off, and they're going to be focusing Grubs or on a repeat gank very soon. But Aatrox does not have any help, and we see Poppy coming up, hopefully to cover.
Wave state going to be basically neutral in that top side. No ult available for either one of those top laners. Mid laners do have their ultimates, and we see Ponyboy will be the first one to jump onto Grubs, and Sutek seems to just be fine, going for the clear here, a full clear. He is alerted to the fact that this has started up, though.
Grubs being started up. Xin Zhao might get collapsed on by the squadron. The Aatrox now has push, so Kled gets a good EXP creep lead, but these Grubs are not risk-free. It looks like you will be able to secure all three. Okay, we had the mid push to cover for that. That's not bad, but I really like what Novasphere is doing here in the bottom lane. They've been steadily increasing their lead, and they've been keeping the other bot lane under tower for the majority of the lane phase.
Yeah, it's a 1.5k gold lead. I got to assume a lot of that is in the pocket of Surge. We'll see what he gets with this buy. I mean, yeah, he was sitting on 2.6 thousand gold. Or never mind, I looked at the wrong number, Jordan bot. But regardless, he still has about a 900 gold lead, the big majority for Novasphere Myth's lead up against Epic Fail Guy right now.
Yep. But as we were talking about before, after the draft, the Kled Aatrox matchup is one to keep an eye on, and Kled has been opening up a massive 20 CS lead this early lane phase.
Looking to just keep on pushing it. We'll see if P. Diddy can find an opportunity to utilize his teleport advantage in that matchup to maybe try and find a little bit more impact, as he is just continuously being thrown under this turret here, trying to just desperately dismount Thailander to make a little bit less pressure. But this is playing against Kled.
This does not look fun.
No.
The Doran's Shield second win combination can only save you for so long, and it looks like he doesn't have any help coming, as both junglers are thinking about the dragon, although I do see Xin Zhao posturing to the top side. He's happy to get his 3 grubs, so maybe just play off of the continuous top pressure.
Sutek gonna get some vision cleared out here. That Scuttle Crab is gonna make starting a dragon inconspicuously pretty difficult. And it just really feels like, you know, we were looking for these junglers to have an effect on these lanes. Certainly ID Hydra, you expected they needed some jungler help, but just been a couple of scuffles, a flash burned, and it's really benefiting Novasphere right now.
Yep. Pony Boy's doing really well in the jungle, opened up a CS lead for himself as well, and he's basically daring that ID Hydra are not going to start the dragon with the lack of bot prio that they have.
Was that open up? Easy stealing opportunities. He's gonna go right onto this blue buff, which he'll be uncontested on. It's not like P. Diddy can come down and he would try and clear it as well. There's hell advantages in every solo lane right now for Novasphere Myth. This is just great recognition on pathing, invade timing, and it's only growing this lead.
Here's the Kled ult top lane. Okay.
They traded ults. Okay.
It's so dangerous for the Aatrox to be up here. The Xin Zhao is kind of closing in on a wave that's pushing into Thailander.
Flash is up for that Aatrox if he wants it. Ultimate's available for everybody now on the Rift. And he's just waiting, he's buying time, he's daring P. Diddy to step too far forward. There's the chain, there's an immediate flash answer. That's Kled, that's the Kled tax, it feels like.
Yep, and if everything stays the same, that Kled CS is just going to keep growing. The Void Grubs might fall again, and we'll keep the ball rolling. Love what I'm seeing early game.
It's like we talked about, Jordan bot. You pick Kled, you need to come out at that 10-minute point with some sort of sizable lead. While the kills isn't necessarily what is screaming out, that's not the face value to read, right? It's that CS lead that's worthy of a kill itself, and getting that pressure onto those plates. And with 6 Void Grubs on a Kled later on in the game, that could just be devastating.
Yep. So 15 CS in the mid lane, 25 CS in the top lane, and the Maokai Ashe lane is obviously going how we'd probably expect it to.
Get a Senna stack check, though. We do see Epic Fail Guys nearly at 40. I'll be honest with you, Jordan, but I'm going to lean on you a little bit here. I have an idea of what like good stack at certain moment is with Senna, but where do you usually want to hit like a 40 or that 60 threshold on Senna to consider it like good scaling across a game in this role?
From my experience, I'd say that Senna is having a fantastic game if every 5 minutes the Senna is farming 20 souls. So the Senna is on that mark. And so again, we are getting through the early game. They're weathering the storm right now. It is important that the Senna does well in terms of like the Senna is going to need to put forth a lot of the damage. If we have a slightly behind Aatrox, we're going to need to supplement that with the Poppy Maokai setup that they've drafted for themselves.
And obviously, you do have Hotline, who is slowly scaling up. He actually, though, is down in CS in the mid lane as well. We see Neophi actually has a bounty, purely based off how well he's been CSing in this game. 114 in 11 minutes. Is that near like pro level farming in a game? I'm trying to remember the old adage when it's like what pros would get to at 10 minutes.
He's been getting a ton of CS. Let's just say that. Let's just say he's eating really good, and we're looking at the boy grubs over here. We tried to help the Kled lane, we tried to help the Aatrox with the way moving up, but that is to no avail. So it looks like we might be against 6 grubs this game.
Sutek, how much is he willing to go for here? He has Keeper's Verdict if he wants to try and even the playing field. Ponyboy, yep, they roamed up. Ponyboy's gonna grab the 5th. There's the play ultimate on top of the Amelia, but they find no kills. Ponyboy jumping forward, trying to get on Epic Fail guy. Crescent Guard is out. Hotline has to go for his own ultimate. Ponyboy knocked up. Everybody solo, but here comes the Kled. Highlander jumps right in, gets on top of the setup for free. Neophi claims Sutek in the background. And P. Diddy, you've lost all your friends in your own jungle now. And there is the Shuriman shuffle to throw him back into the rest of the team here. The Blast Cone will not save you. Highlander has arrived, and Novasphere Gaming Myth just blew open game number 1.
That was a phenomenal fight from, I wanted to say both sides, but we have to give a massive victory to Novasphere. IG Hydra just really were feeling the pressure. They said we're losing 3 lanes, and if we give 6 grubs, these towers are going to be shredded, right? They went into the territory that was not theirs and paid the price.
And if some of those early ultimates is Surge, okay. Might overestimate. The flash was just a little bit too late. It pulls Valter along with him. There's a big shutdown to find. P. Diddy topside, seeing if he could take on Highlander after resetting. There's a kill back.
Wrong neighborhood. Wrong neighborhood. Yep. We just made the play topside. You got to play a little respectful. Down bottom gets punished for that. Both summoners blown. That's going to feel a little bit rough. But again, Highlander kind of taking over the lobby at the moment. Flash down.
Yeah, it's the ignite, and yeah, it's too easy. He's just too far ahead right now, and that just might solidify the Kled pick as being very good.
A lot of people don't have the confidence or demeanor to take the R5 pick and say, give me Kled, give me the high risk matchup. Given the surrounding pieces of the draft, I love that he went for something that he said, give me this 1v1, path up to me, and I'm going to get you the lead. And he's absolutely delivered on all of that. I loved his target selection. Some autos being exchanged. Bot lane arrow blown. Surge is
really committing for this. Valter, I mean, he has to flash, but I guess that's supports flash. I throw in quotation marks. It's not the worst thing.
The Maokai is not going to love that. Not a lot of proactivity options without that tool. But with the Maokai roots, we'll see if we can get something done on the next ulti rotation. Everyone's sitting pretty. Massive wave clear options on their way.
Yeah, but still suffering in that matchup, right? That's kind of the unspoken hero. Neophi obviously had that great Emperor's Divide to seal that 3rd kill in, but he's kind of touched on it, just really CSing phenomenally, and you can see he's got himself an 1,000 gold lead, a bounty on his head. And while we did touch on the fact that Hui is going to scale really well up against the Senna, Valter is actually might get caught. He doesn't have flash. Remember, he blew it earlier. Uses Nature's Grasp, Breath of Light, makes sure that CC does not go down. Ponyboy wants the knockup. Ease forward again once more. Will find the kill through the Dawning Shadow, and it's just all Novasphere right now.
That is a good pickup. That is really, really good. We are quietly snowballing the game, and there's not too many response tools at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of avenues except, let's hope that Senna can keep stacking well, Wei can farm up well, but I fear, especially because this is not a Senna TK, I don't know how well Epic Fail Guys even gonna be able to play this game without Feta Kled just running you down. There's nothing you could do as Senna.
We'll have to see how they utilize the early mid-game transition. I will say ID Hydra, they're not out of it by any means. Them picking up that first Mountain Dragon is massive, so we aren't racing to a soul fight. We have surrendered the grubs, so now on the side of Novasphere, they're going to be looking towards the Rift Herald as the next tool to pick up to continue snowballing. Let's get some of these towers down and let's balloon this gold lead. Trading in the top lane. Ignite's coming up soon. He might just dive him again.
Yeah, Tylanator looking for that turret like you were talking about. And can't get close enough yet. We do see in the background Ponyboy and company. They've just been topsiding phenomenally this entire time. They're going to pick up Shelly for free basically on spawn. P. Diddy will spawn it out, but I mean, there's just no way to contest this. And that's a surefire way to make sure you'll grab that first turret wherever you drop good old Rift Herald.
Yep, can't ignore a 5k gold lead. Novasphere have completed all 5 of their players are on 1 item plus. So until ID Hydra can really get some items together and start to contest, there's not too much we can do other than trade waves.
And that first turret is going to fall in the hands of Tylanator. So he grabs that one picked up here. Ponyboy, he's playing confident. He's now invading on Sutek. Does get rooted and pulled back. Gonna jump on top of Hotline, thinking he can burn him through the ultimate.
Very far from
but here comes Kled. Yep, diving right under turret. Maybe not where he wanted to go, but Sutek will stay safe. Keeper Fur does not get channeled. And the invade is not paid for by ID Hydra.
It was the Hui flash down now does open avenues for the next rotation, so definitely good, very good proactive play. Trading in the bot lane. Okay. So now Kyle just shrugged that away, but Ashe is a little bit ramped right now.
There's Aegis Grasp out. So you grab that key ultimate off the board for Ashe's Ghost, but
yeah,
I mean it's just death by 1,000 cuts right now. Every time that Novasphere Myth, these guys with bounties walk away from these skirmishes, it only just benefits them further, I feel.
Yep, they're up cooldown, so there's just no reason not to just keep the pedal to the metal right now. Let's just contest everything. Let's push all 3 of the waves and just keep drowning out our opponents.
And with that one, maybe like slight win con for ID Hydra would be that they're ahead 8 Dragon, but we see the next one, the Cloud Drake is coming up in 10 seconds. And with the waves, like you mentioned, Ponyboy can take this one for free, and he might be looking for more, once more, just choking out the economy.
Yep.
This is just great macro aggression. Not much more to say.
ID Hydra are going to want to slow the pace of this game down, and the way Tylander's been playing, the exact opposite is what's going to happen, because I don't have to do very much math in my head to know what a Kled can do with a Milio behind it.
Yeah, and then we haven't even talked about a Zero that was unpunished in lane, which is
exactly. Yeah.
Even worse, as those turrets will start to drop off. That Drake taken for free. And now you're just gonna be able to really up the pushing power as well if you're Neophyte, because yep, there goes the stolen turret to keep those waves pushed up as possible. Now you start to choke out the jungle. Sutek will actually pick up that red buff.
Poppy gets the red.
Yep, here's Epic Fail guy. They're trying to burn Ponyboy through his pressing guard. They might have. The Dawning Shadow does whip. Ponyboy can't use the Hextech gate out, and he will die. Hotline will get it. P. Diddy wants more. Flashing forward World Ender style. Doesn't grab anybody. Now he's just getting brunted and poked off here. You can't run through Neophyte and Surge. But it is a pick nonetheless, unless there might be more here. Neophyte stepping up pretty far. Sutek looking to try and group him up. Dangerous Grass gets the Azir out of mana. Double shutdown over to Hotline. And ID Hydra finally pick up a scrap.
Okay, and the way getting those 2 shutdowns, or two kills, excuse me, 1 shutdown, will be massive for this team's wave clear options. Like I was just talking about wanting to slow the game down. Now there's nothing to fight over. The gold lead's been ballooned. We already know one team beats the other team in a fight, but now ID Hydra doesn't have a reason to leave that outer ring of their zone of control, other than maybe some minor jungle camps, right? A Baron on spawn is probably the highest risk available option for Novasphere right now. So we can expect a bit of a slow pace at the moment. The calm before the storm, if you will.
Ah, yes. And if you missed that, I just want to say, if you missed the stat check there from PVS, we do see Epic Fail guys 76 souls. I think he just picked up 2 in mid lane. So just a bit behind that like fantastic marker you gave out for soul farming, Jordan Box. So they do have Epic Fail guy, at least his main objective going well still, despite everything else.
Yep. Not a bad spot. There's definitely we've got some muscles on both sides, but Thailander has grabbed a pretty firm hold. The solo laners of Novasphere really coming through hot here on game one.
You see that Serap's almost completed here for Hotline as well. So, like you mentioned, he's starting to match this Azir and itemization. Question is, how much will this way be allowed to play the game? Because we still haven't seen Thailander in a bit since he's kind of been off to the side lanes. I'm still just totally afraid of when he decides to hit the go button onto Senna or Hui. It's not a ton that I think ID Hydra can do to stop him.
100%. So we're just going to see ID Hydra try to pick up as many camps and waves as they can, because again, there's not too much to fight over. There'll be some vision plays with the Maokai saplings to diffuse some of the dangerous brushes. There's not too much face checking that needs to go on, but this Kled is going to keep trying. Here comes the Rift Herald mid, though. This is the other proactive play that Novasphere
Going for a ride. And oh boy, P. Diddy, look how low he's getting topside. Shelly will crash to try to jump on a Ponyboy once more. Has the Crescent Guard out already. Defensive Nature's Grasp. Sutek can't get close. The range coming from Surge enough to assuage any pick play. And they're starting to break into that comfortable ring you were talking about, slowly but surely, Jordan.
Yeah, this tower will most surely fall in the next couple minutes rotation, but again, we're probably looking for that next dragon as an option, and I would say ID's Hydra should absolutely be giving that dragon. Top lane is in no condition to fight, and I can go down the list, and there's more answers there, right?
Oh boy.
All in top lane, but we're just diving. We're just ignoring the tower.
Yep, easy dismount. He does have a flash away from turret aggro. And this is going to be Epic Failed Guy getting some gold back. That will be a massive shutdown. But the push still continues behind it. Surge, they think they might be able to take that turret behind them. And that 1-for-1, and kind of a win for ID Hydra, no?
Yep, raw aggression coming out from Thailander there. Almost a perfect game, kind of tarnished a little bit, because giving up your 1k shutdown, never a good look for the player that is kind of shining in the lobby. That Senna is going to hurt now.
Ooh. That's Ghost immediately pops coming across from Surge. Sutek flashes after him, and this Senna is just getting more and more fed. And that win con looking clearer and clearer for ID Hydra.
Just a massive glimmer of hope coming through right there. ID Hydra is not going down without a fight. They've located their time, and the time is now. So let's get some items, and I still think Drake is probably not an option, but we are looking a lot more survivable, I'll say.
It's like we talked about from the draft. ID Hydra have sort of said, don't let us get to certain scaling points or certain points in the game, right? Because this Senna will be a threat already on that 2-item set as well. Got to think a Rapid Fire Cannon will be next in the future here, and will be that win con. But like we talked about, Thailander is the one guy that can really just blow open this ID Hydra comp.
Yep, it's going to be on Tyler to recognize his mistake and sort of adjust. We see a posture for a very aggressive Maokai ulti perhaps, but Dragon was already on the list of something we would probably give, and we're just seeing if the Azir is going to overstep.
Sutek looking for it. Coming across now. Neophi already burns that dash. There's Nature's Grasp. Can the rest of his team get here in time? Flash Breath of Light coming across from Anthem. Sets up a beautiful turn. The timing wasn't right for ID Hydra, and look how much it's going to cost them. Surge finds Epic Fail Guy. P. Diddy next to fall. The slows just too much. And Novasphere Gaming Myth blow the game right back open.
They 1,000,000% did. They communicated. They must have known. The Azir was saying, okay, I'm going to play like this. I'm going to play in your face. I dare you to engage on me. And now that's going to be Baron almost certainly for Novasphere Gaming.
That might just be the true dagger, right? It is Baron now, this goldly ballooned. They'll balloon up to nearly about 8,000 gold as well. And it might have just been foreshadowing to how these fights will look going forward. Just great macro awareness, and I feel like if Novasphere Gaming Myth plays 5 the rest of this game forward, they don't lose.
Yeah, looking at the inventories, I'm trying to say there's still a glimmer of hope for this Senna, but the items that were just completed by Tylander tell a very dark, a very different story. And then we got the Seeker's Arm Guard. Now the new Zonya's active on the Azir. Just so much safety coming through, so when they look to progress the game further with the Baron, now as I say that, he's put himself between 3 people.
Oh, and he pulls the Maokai along with him. There's the Seeker's Arm Guard, but that might have been just a blown ability because he's just dead. Yeah, I mean,
that's
that
gonna
pick was set up. He burned flash too. I mean,
that's again, they're just letting them back in. They're playing a little bit sloppy. This is going to, again, we knew this was going to cost them a lot of their they're going to perforate the outer exterior of the base, but the carries of ID Hydra absolutely are online, and this is kind of unnecessary mistakes, I would call it.
yeah, I mean, the positioning was already that big mistake, and now you've set yourself up to get caught more and more as the game goes on. The Zhonya's was complete. There's the arrow out from Surge, but it hits Sutek, which is the person you want to tank it. Is getting burned down. Surge's damage is really high.
Ramping here.
Yep, Keeper's burning down. They do eliminate the jungler. Vaulter goes back forward. The Dawning Shadow will assuage Surge. Thailander doesn't like any of those avenues in. And they aren't going to take another mistake fight.
Yeah, that was a weird look for Novasphere. The arrow, a little bit hopeful. Thought they had a pick very close to the base. It's 4v5. There's not too much you can get going. You're not bursting a Poppy, so a little bit shaky coming out here in game one. The mistakes are definitely being felt by all the members, I would think, psychologically here. We want a clean finish.
Yep. I was just going to point out, that was also Surge's flash. So your two main ranged carries, the brunt of your damage, they are going to be susceptible to getting picked off if we see that mispositioning continue.
Yep. Something to keep your eyes on. If we can see the inventory of the Aatrox in the coming minutes before the dragon spawns, will be a good indicator. If we can get the 2-item spike on Aatrox, the dragon contest is possible, but still not necessary. Giving third dragon here, again, not the end of the world, given the life breath of the game.
It is an X-Tech soul, which is one of those, you know, upper echelon souls to grab. So gotta be liking that if you are Novasphere Gaming Myth. And like you mentioned, makes contesting these Drakes even more important, in my opinion. And it's going to be harder because they're losing all those doubters now, just left to the inside walls of their base for ID Hydra.
9,000 gold, seeming insurmountable, but we talked about before, the Senna and the Hui are a lot of that gold. Huge engage coming through.
Zanya's though from Neophi, and Shurima shuffles the front line back towards Surge and company, and that Ashe is starting to ramp up at free fire. Here comes Kled as well, jumping onto Hotline. Hui has no chance in the world, will fall, but can P. Diddy find a Drake? Ponyboy falls, Thailander is dismounted, but the turret doesn't get enough damage down for any sort of trade. Thailander does get snared, but Epic Fail Guy just can't get close enough. This Azir and Ashe doing so much damage. There goes the Ashe, but it's traded right back. Neophi, he started the fight, and he's looking to end the game here with a couple more autos. Ace, Novasphere Gaming Myth.
Neofix came in crazy in that fight. He said, I'm going to start it, and I'm going to finish it. As they're tearing down the base, we just have to wonder what a show of like raw skill right there, just flying through all those players. I dare you to engage on me, and I'm ready for it. We got the Zanya's upgrade, and that's going to be game one.
What a way. I mean, we were just talking about how Neofix there kind of blundered earlier in that same lane, like 100 couple thousand pixels away from where he ends the game. But that Zanya's turn was beautiful, and overall, even if we did have a couple of concerns about certain picks and certain over escalations, Jordan Bot, Novasphere Gaming Myth in all reality had complete stranglehold on this game.
Yep, they came prepared for draft. They said no surprises. We're giving our top laner R5, and he is going to perform XYZ. And we got to question some of the late draft bans there. Was there anything that we overlooked? I see. Oh, sorry, I have my wrong window here. The final two bans on the side of IG Hydra were the Nico Silas. Were those more dangerous than perhaps some top lane bans if we're going to try and protect like an Aatrox blind? Yep. Questions.
A lot of questions, but we'll figure out some of those answers pretty soon here. We are just waiting, I believe, for game 2 to conclude, and then we'll be able to cover that in all of its gratuity. We're going to go to a short break, though. On the other side, see exactly what ID Hydra have in store if they want to avoid the dastardly broom in the ADL.
I start to break, each piece a reminder, every single little mistake. So how can I leave it all behind when I refuse to watch it fall to dust? Tell me why it won't ever be the same. I'll burn it all, no matter who's to blame. I'll find a way. I'll find a way. And every time I close my eyes, a little less of you remains. I know you're slipping further from me now. Am I too far away? Tell me why I won't ever feel the same. I'll try my bones, a spark to lead us through the shadows. Can I fight the way before me? It's coursing through my soul, a road to guide us through the sorrow. Can I calm this storm inside me? I feel it in my bones, a spark to lead us through the shadows. Can I fight the way before me? It's coursing through my soul, a road to guide us through the sorrow.
Appreciate everybody at home who stuck along with us through the break. We are back and ready for game number 2 here of the Aegis Defenders League showcase match. Novasphere Gaming Myth took game number 1. ID Hydra didn't really seem close at all. Jordan Bot, and they're going to swap to the red side to try and keep this series alive.
Got some promising things coming out of ID Hydra, though. The carries, specifically the Senna and the Hui, were absolutely doing their due diligence. We didn't solve the problem of the top lane matchup. So we'll see if ID Hydra can do anything differently this time around. With red side, they could reserve R5 for themselves and see if we can have a bit of a fiery game 2 here.
It looks like right off the bat, just getting rid of those real heavy prio meta picks. The Seraphine, like you mentioned earlier, a lot of these teams are like that sort of enchanter ranged in the bottom lane, so like that ban from ID Hydra. Karma could potentially go as well. On the other side, Novasphere Gaming Myth want to take away a lot of attack ability, gap closers, and obviously Corki, because it's Corki in season 14.
Yep. Novasphere Gaming getting the Azir respect ban, and the Maokai takeaway. Going to be a different look this time around for Novasphere.
Well, we already saw the Maokai last game in ID Hydra's hands. It went to that farming support role. There's a lot you can do with Maokai right now. It was kind of the same way in season 13. Hasn't changed too much up here. What will change is the bottom lane complexion, kind of just the whole game complexion here. ID Hydra, they go for the Aphelios and Gwen, which actually, Jordan Bot, I'm going to eat my words, is the same identity from last game. They want to just scale up and be a threat later.
I'm shocked by those 2 picks. That is a very early Gwen. Don't know if it's committed top lane or jungle, and a very early Aphelios. Aphelios typically weaker to what Maokai provides onto the Rift, and Varus Nico, a lot of trigger pull, and that Aphelios is going to have a tough time staying alive. So I'm wondering what support they're going to pair alongside the Aphelios to give that some safety. And Karma is the answer, perhaps, as a tool, providing some speed there, some scaling, maybe some poke. Maybe we get a pushing lane here, either in the mid. As I eat my words, Karma can go literally almost anywhere.
Yeah, literally anywhere, right? So Hotline could play Karma if they wanted to throw that Karma mid. I don't hate that matchup up against Nico either. I mean, it's just really hard to kind of uproot Karma at this point in League. So Melio ban is going to come across, which does signal Novasphere Gaming Myth believe that Karma was going mid. And if that were the case, I do really like that ban a lot, Jordan Bot, because I think Aphelios and Melio, if they're allowed enough time to get to that scary point in the game, I think they're the best bottom lane in the game for post 20 minutes.
Perhaps. And we see ID Hydra picking up the Viego, which takes a sharp turn in the team composition they were going for previously. Before it didn't have a specific direction, but Viego means we are absolutely going in. We are playing for that reset, or we are playing off of Novasphere, overplaying their hand on their engage. So we have an answer for a different composition theme. Trundle picked up for Novasphere, and Renata as the answer to Viego to sort of deny the reset potential.
Now, I'm going to be honest, NSG's draft is kind of just pretty beautiful to me in response, mostly ID Hydra. They've answered a lot of the calls. They do end up blinding a Trundle, and it is actually going to end up being a Gwen top here. And Karma mid, Rel will end up in support, so a lot more engaged. Basically, almost all the go buttons is going to rely on this Rel pick if you're ID Hydra.
The Rel pick surrounded with some pieces that need setup, but then also you're looking at, you're staring down the barrel of a lot of disengage options on the side of Novasphere. The Maokai is a great response to Rel, can actually cancel her out of the W primary engage, and then Renata has cancel and disengage options as well. So ID Hydra picking a very sharp direction on the last 2 picks of their comp, and it's in a direction that seems to be a little bit answered by Novasphere's flexibility and disengage options over here.
Yeah, it's not like ID Hydra would win in a range battle a lot of ways. I mean, they're getting matched in that aspect too. So this is going to be a tough game for ID Hydra if they cannot figure out, how to work this composition. Speaking of compositions, though, We've got another great sponsor from Aegis to shout out here. A quick shout out to Pro Comps, our sponsor and a game changer app for the league community. This isn't just like any other tools you guys can use with your clients. It's your personal draft coach, perfect for both teams and solo players. In fact, you can pair with any other app you use for League of Legends. You can still use Pro Comp. Stands out with features like custom champ pools, personalized tier lists, and live draft advice. Think of it as having your virtual coach and a strategy toolkit all in one. They offer real-time champ and band recommendations. They already have over 200,000 downloads and thousands of daily users that could be just like you. Pro Comps is a user-friendly and totally free. It is a no-brainer to at least give it a go. So you got to at least give it a go. Download Pro Comps now and you'll experience the whole new level of drafting power in your league games. Go to procomps.gg, download it from Overwolf, or click the panel below, just like Coachify on this stream to check them out. Big shout out to Pro Comps for becoming one of the newest sponsors at Aegis. Without further ado, enough talk about what you guys can do to benefit your League of Legends games. Let's see how this one plays out. Let's go to Summoner's Rift. ID Hydra looking to save the series score up against Novasphere Gaming Myth.
Here we go. As we load in, again, we're going to talk about the tools that either team has drafted themselves. Novasphere, very similar identity or very similar amount of tools that they've drafted for themselves in terms of ways to pick fights around their opponents. And we've got another Thailander special in terms of a top lane counter pick into the Gwen. We're piloting the Trundle this time around.
And once again, I like that matchup for Tylanator. I mean, Gwen is extremely weak early on, and that's when Trundle can bully a lot of these melee matchups up top. So, by all accords, this lane could be just as rough, if not more rough, for P. Diddy compared to last game.
One thing I like about ID Hydra's adaptation in draft, the Viego pick and the Rel pick does offer a tremendous amount of explosiveness in the first 10 minutes. So there's always that potential for that Viego to get monstrously out of control. The full clear is very fast. The 3 camp is an option. So Trundle does not have a tremendous amount of stat checking ability early levels. So we'll see what lane he decides to visit here.
Interesting adaptation to also watch for is that's the fake Surge. Yep, there's new fix showing his head. Surge is going, excuse me, my God, for the poke Varus with that Comet pick, so more lethality oriented. I don't know how you feel about it, Jordan Bot, but up against all the later scaling shielding that a Karma can give, and the fact that, you know, Gwen can avoid a lot of those big piercing arrows with the Hollow Mist, you have a Rel to burn through. I would have been more of a fan of an on-hit Varus in this game.
Honestly, it's going to sound like I'm just a Varus enjoyer, but it sounds like, honestly, a lot of games you just can't go wrong. There's some games that there are an obvious choice, but he's saying by his lethality choice that he wants to be very lane dominant into the Rel pick, which again makes sense. Like Renata and Varus can obtain push in that matchup. They can have a pressure point to play around, and then he doesn't want to get anywhere near Viego. He said, I don't want to touch Viego. I don't want to touch Gwen. I'm going to throw spells from afar. And I don't hate the logic.
See, this is why they pay Jordan Bought the big bucks, because he's way smarter than me when it comes to this game. I just say what happens on screen, so I'm convinced. You convinced me.
Yeah, my imaginary paycheck. It's Slayer's head. It's massive counts.
That's the thought that counts, at least, right? So we got that going. Top side, we see the kind of similar vibe. Tylanator is going to get ganked here.
In a little bit of trouble here. Pops the ghost. He's going to look to escape here. Stunned up.
Yep, Sutek
down. Ignite available.
Oh, they don't get
won't
close
have the distance. Nope.
Well, you at least give P. Diddy some range in this lane. But yeah, I mean, you obviously would like to kill that Trundle. And bot side, it's brutal.
What they're doing in the top side with helping P. Diddy there is just kind of setting him up for success. Gwen is not going to break Trundle immediately. And as I say that, we look like we're just fighting to the death with that Ignite, perhaps.
Yeah, I mean, you just drop Ignite. This is almost a full kill. Yeah, and I think the Ignite might nearly do it. First blood over to P. Diddy. That's got to feel nice after game 1.
The blind pick Gwen paying off. The confidence is there, and Tylanator overstepping his bounds, maybe overly confident from the dominating performance in game 1.
And it is looking rough because he will have to expend teleport to get back up there. The wave.
Not a good spot for him.
Nope, not at all. PDD will teleport to make sure to keep it there. Crash down coming across here from Valter. So dismounted as Sutek shows up. Keeps the NSG bottom lane safe.
Yep. Usually one trinket is more than enough very early lane phase for the bot lane to repel one of those ganks. Viego not one of these crazy wall hopping junglers the way we see some Rek'Sai-esque champions do. So Viego keeping his... as I was about to say that, Viego has not been farming.
No.
Skipping a tremendous amount of camps to get that early top gank off, and also making an appearance bottom is now quite literally getting doubled in CS by the Maokai.
You know, Jordan Bot, sometimes these games just do the opposite of your logic, right? You talked about Trundle early versus Gwen. This should be Dilatator's, absolute party. Nope, didn't go that way. Viego has the power to full clear really quickly and get a snowballing that way, getting out farmed by a tank Maokai. So that's just the reality. Is expect the unexpected for game number 2 at least.
I don't pretend to be a topside expert. I know what's going on bot lane, and these guys are making me happy down here. The Varus doing his job, getting the poke down. Rel has very limited options here. And then the Aphelios having a bit of lane control himself. He's going to be feeling pretty good about that. We'll see who initiates the idea of the first recall. This is the cannon wave. Looks like one party will initiate to stay and lock the other in lane. We see Viego clearing up to the top side, maybe taking a look at the idea of the grubs. Gwen kind of reigning supreme top lane with that big wave crash. Trundle's got to play catch up after getting first blood there.
We're seeing already, Valter, it's just such a difficult Rel game to play in this lane because it's so hard to get that CC down and layered up against this Varus in this Renata. We do see top side. Sutek is taking all of the Void Grubs, so all 3 will go to ID Hydra uncontested, at least for now. No eyes on the Drake for Ponyboy, and being the most obvious trade we've seen in Season 14. So good pickup for Sutek despite the farm discrepancy.
Yep. Novasphere Gaming initiating the bot lane recall now. The Aphelios will be down tempo, and Maokai is clearing down, so you would expect Novasphere to be discussing Dragon possibilities. Renata and Maokai, a tremendously fast Dragon clear combo. So we'll see what happens on that front. That being said, Viego is inching down towards the bot side, so it might not be risk-free here.
You see a bit of an out of advantage for Ponyboy. He's got one of those Cinderholt components done, so he'll be definitely hard for anybody bot side to deal with, to burn through. But like you mentioned, the vision is in the hands of ID Hydra. They have a lot of great defensive wards, a couple pink wards, and are going to make the Drake pit pretty dark for Ponyboy and company.
Yep. We'll see what Novasphere will decide to do. I imagine they'll obtain bot prio and expect these fights to be very explosive whenever either side finds their target. They ID Hydra have to play for a Viego reset, and Rel, to make this pick work, we do have to get something done in terms of an engage. Otherwise, you're slowly losing to this kind of picture here. And then Ponyboy on the Maokai matched with the Nico, a tremendous amount of snap engage options over here. Flash on both sides, so expect them to maybe opt into a Drake fight here.
They're looking for this gang, and here they go. Yep, good route though. That's the Renata answer. Yep, stun does land on a Surge. That's a flash forward coming across from Valter. Nature's Grasp is coming in the background defensively. Surge is safe, and the fight turn is coming across. It caught Sutek out. Couldn't get the first kill, means they're going to pay the price. Valter gets snatched by another great hook from Anthem, and it's a double up for Surge.
And that's Rel just extending onto a couple different characters that really like to hinder what the Rel can do. And the Viego is unable to get that reset. Again, there's all summoners up. They've got a Renata and they've got a Maokai in the area. That is a very fast play that has honestly a very high risk, and the chances of it working were not high enough.
And now it feels like we are in a similar spot to game number 1. The skirmish is going the way, hold on, of Novasphere Gaming Myth, and it's another great handshake there from Anthem. I mean, time and time again, disengage, engage, it doesn't really matter. This guy is just landing that CC.
Yeah, love the respect flash coming in from Ponyboy. Hate to see getting hit by the CC, brought to 1 HP, flash out, and then get flash followed and then killed. I want to see a bit of a cleaner game from Novasphere if I'm really going to cement them in my brain as a team that might look to make a playoff run.
Both these teams are in the same division as Con Esports, who, fun fact, did end up winning the league. I casted with both of the teams we're seeing tonight in, so that's an interesting little tidbit there. They'll have to compete with that team. And by the way, I know if for our loyal viewers that have been here for 2 weeks of ADL, Con Esports did win that game 3. We unfortunately did not get to broadcast last week, so they are at the top of the group for that reason, alongside, well, likely one of the winners of tonight's matchup. So far, it's looking like NSG.
Quiet on the Rift in the top side for now. We see a full Yumu's Ghostblade completed on the Varus lane, so expect them to be pushing until the end of the game. That sounds like it's going to be a good rolling lane for them. Novasphere getting the pressure off. The Trundle just has to play catch up now, but we see a massive CS gap in the favor of Nova Esports on the jungle. The Maokai is farming well. That's not going to be game defining, but this Trundle has been starved for a very long time. We notice almost a 45 CS lead on this Gwen, and it's a blind pick Gwen, remember, so we'll see what kind of damage ID Hydra can do this game when their top laner is not completely held down out of the game.
What has transpired that is similar from game number 1 is whoever has that topside lead sets up 6 Void Grubs. This time it's ID Hydra, like you talked about, P. Diddy's Blind Gwen being ahead. Just allows for all those grubs to go the way of ID Hydra. And while it's certainly nice to get those on your side, it's good to take them away from Trundle. There's a good cleanse check coming across. Chains of Corruption. Looks like Surge wants more. He pops the Youmu's. He's looking for that big piercing arrow. And he's thinking he does it. Nearly takes some epic fail guy out. Here comes Valter, though, trying to flank over. They have Hotline roaming, trying to catch them under turret. And Valter doesn't have anyone else to help him out, so they'll let that guy walk right on out. And all the chaos in the bottom lane puts up a 0 on the kill count.
Big Fall Guy going to get starved of a pretty decently sized wave, and that's just the Varus pressure that we kind of talked about. We're getting a rel face check here.
Oh, yeah, that's rough. Drops the Metal Storm, but the Nature's Grass. There's more than enough CC, and Surge grabs a 3rd kill just to reignite this Varus more and more.
Bit of an inverse story we're seeing. Tylanator said, I'm going to carry game 1, and I'm going to be in the backpack game 2. Here you go, Gage.
Tylander's here, by the way, so the pop also gets dodged with a good tangle bars from Neofix, and Tylanator's roam down will get his teammate a kill, and like you talked about, playing the more supportive role after his game 1 performance.
Yep. I was just about to mention that Hotline has been pretty quiet on this early pick Karma. It has a tremendous amount of presence pre 1 item and at 1 item, so expect Hotline to feel pressured to get something done with the power of the Karma early, because we're not scaling too heavily, at least from the mid lane perspective on this one.
Yeah, right. The annoying shielding will always come for Karma, no matter what role you're kind of playing her in. It's a little more annoying with the support one that's running more shield and healing based items, but like you mentioned, the damage doesn't scale great for Karma no matter what. So that pick hasn't got a great amount of reestate value. This Viego as well, Jordan Bot, looking even worse for wear, considering that CS gap is larger than when we last looked at it.
Yeah, just seems to keep growing in exactly one direction. Really impressed to see P. Diddy showing this much life here, as we're going to look to an all-in towards the Trundle. Exchange of ultimates, but Viego's here.
Needlework, getting down. Tylanator slowed more, doesn't have that ghost available. Trying to get Sutex some kills, or maybe just push P. Diddy even further over the edge. And it's just the top side that ID Hydra are playing as flawlessly as they can.
And when I look to the items, that's just not close. There's just so much damage that Gwen can deal in such a short amount of time, and the execute damage coming through. Viego to match as well. The Trundle doesn't have any items yet, no stats to boot. So the defensive ulti is really only going to stall what was already going on. But we see some control towards the dragon area. Okay.
That will be 2 stacks, 2 Drake stacks over NSG, but what will it cost them topside? Dragon picked up, but Thailander still, I mean, there's no way he can contest this. I mean, he arguably has to be careful for his tier 2 drops, and yeah, it's gone. So gold real estate traded for another Hextech Soul that Novasphere Gaming Myth can acquire pretty early on in this game.
Yep. And that outer turret, the inner turret being worth much more gold locally, and outside of that, the Gwen is going to just be so accelerated in this game. So coming around that third Drake timer, the question is going to be, how is Novasphere Gaming going to be poised to answer this Gwen?
They have a lot of good CC though to stop a Gwen, like we talked about, right? Obviously the Hallowed Mist is annoying, and it's gonna maybe, you know, force a Chains of Corruption not to land, or one of these handshakes not to. But I mean, good luck getting through a Maokai, a Renata, a Nico with CC, Varus be able to peel back, playing that lethality. It's a nice game now for P Diddy, but it's gonna get a lot harder.
Yep. So I should say the Gwen has the tools to carry, but the Gwen also does have to carry.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, the picture is a little grim. This Varus is just printing lethality right now, and that is going to sting because it's non-committal damage that's going to combat some of the poking that Karma is going to do. So who wins in a long standoff? Who wins in an explosive fight, given the disengaged tools? And this Rel is just not having any sort of presence at the moment. So we'll see what happens around these mid-game moments.
Yeah, and the Rel really needs to set up the Gwen, because, you know, Gwen normally is not running Flash, but a lot of the time you expect the Ghost just to give a Gwen a little bit of oomph. This is Ignite Teleport, so besides her E, Gwen has virtually no way to gap close in this game unless it's set up by his teammates.
Yeah, going to be relying on the Karma Shield behind, and we'll see if Gwen can sort of overcome a lot of the other situations going on given the other lane states.
Has calmed down on the Rift somewhat as we've transitioned into that mid game. And Surge, like you talked about, the Yomu's completed. They're just always going to be pushing all game long. They've turned their attention towards mid lane as P Diddy might actually jumped on flash forward from Ponyboy. Here's the Pop Blossom. Can they burn through the needlework? P Diddy has a lot of good healing, but it won't be enough when Surge shows up. Shut down, given over to Neofix, and the one big threat for ID Hydra is down for the count.
P Diddy gonna be going down there. That's gonna sting a lot because there will not be a clear cross map. As I say that, we are summoning the Rift Herald, so maybe we can answer with a mid tower.
Okay. Crashes in.
And
crashes out from
Storm on Anthem.
Ooh, but look at this hostile takeover. Should keep Anthem safe for some time. The Heartbreaker and Bailout will come across, but Sutek will get that kill. So finally, Valter's Rel gets some real estate in game number 2.
Valter's connected to the server. That was a great pickup for them. You never want to fight Renata. You want to push Renata into an uncomfortable position where she's not set up. And right there, she was using all of her tools defensively to get away from a really good engage. So Valter, really nice pickup off the back of that Rift Herald window of pressure that they had.
Like you talked about earlier, really needed for Sutek. I mean, down in farm still is very much down, but Viego needs, you know, a lifeline. It's usually through his farm to get to those items and be that threat. That kill is going to feel real nice as he'll get to those item points. He has the Kraken Slayer and starting to build towards that second item. Much needed is my point, Jordan.
Yep. So what I would say is ID Hydra have the tools and sort of a little bit of the wallet to punish an overstep from Novasphere, but I'd say Novasphere is definitely in the driver's seat here. They get to pick their next engage angles. The reason we saw that nice pickup from the Rel engage was because of that temporary window of pressure from the Rift Herald pickup. We're not going to see that again. The next fight is likely around the Drake as we see a bit of a dangerous face check, but a Viego without the support, not much. And that is a stinging Varus Q there.
That's what we build lethality for right there, baby. Those empowered full max range piercing arrows that just sting. And you know, we talked about there's not gonna be a ton of people that you can target well in this comp with those arrows. Viego does not have any protections for it unless a Rel is standing in front of him.
Yep. Does look like ID Hydra do not want to give this third Drake without a fight. The Hex Gates will get Viego back into the fight, but as we're seeing, if Varus is allowed to free hit, It's kind of on, the onus is on ID Hydra to pull the trigger here. Volter posturing for a bit of an engage. He's got that Trailblazer, he's got a little bit of move speed here.
Sutek doesn't land the first stun, should be up soon. Does give Drake pit control over to ID Hydra. Teleport coming across from Tylanator. There's the Nature's Grasp. Ponyboy, who's he gonna pick as a target? They're going for Hotline. Here's the Pop Blossom on to 2. Nobody dead just yet. Volter crashes back forward, and ID Hydra, they burn through the front line. The reset's coming across. Huge amount of damage from Epic Fail Guy, and all of a sudden, ID Hydra, ace.
Just a 5 for 0. When you preview that fight, it does not look remotely good for ID Hydra, but they just seem to land everything, despite being like pinned to the back of the pit. So honestly, props to them for finding the outplays. Gwen was left largely, I think, untouched, and I think that's a big reason as to why they came up ahead here.
Yeah, I know we don't have replays, but what really was an interesting decision from my perspective was we saw Anthem and Ponyboy really lock down this Karma from Hotline in the background, but there's nobody to follow through, and Karma isn't really the target you want to pick right now. Like we talked about, you still have Nophelios, this Viego's been ramping up. Those are the people you want to try to go for, not this Karma, and that really ended up costing them, because Renata and Maokai is a lot of that CC for this comp if you're NSG.
Yep, and I was wondering, with a Trundle that was so held down in lane phase, are they going to provide enough damage to actually finish off? We noticed P. Diddy could not withstand a 1v3 in the side lane, but at a clean 5v5 fist fight, is like, we saw Neofix land a pretty good Pop Blossom, and it just wasn't enough to get that final kill. And until you, like, Gwen and Viego are so terrifying because they will fight until the last HP.
Yeah, they're all about resetting. They're all about getting that extra, getting a kill for them can change a fight. And we saw that P. Diddy had enough healing after the kill came across, and Sutek had the wet dream of Viego fights right there. Just there's so many resets. Whoever he wanted, he could possess.
And Volter did a good job staying in front of the Nature's Grass to make sure that they get the engage. Like, Aphelios did have a very small amount of space to walk. However, he was kept safe. And I think a lot of that was Volter's disruption to make sure that the lockdown wasn't clean, and they ended up choosing Karma.
Now all of a sudden, you've got a beefed up Viego, 4-1 now, has that Sundered Stack completed. Karma's a bit more online, will be coming across, and talk about the fact that Viego and Gwen will fight to their last breath. Karma can give a lot more of a window for a Viego and a Gwen, and it's just going to become more and more pesky to deal with as this game goes on.
Yep. The early lane advantage achieved bottom largely erased. The early jungle advantage through the CS all gone. So this top advantage that is still present in the game, is Gwen going to super scale? That's going to be the question that we're going to ask ourselves. Is the Trundle going to be able to provide anything meaningful in terms of frontline or backline damage here?
Now it becomes how much are NSG willing to give up to avoid that similar 5v5? They have split push avenues if they want to try and put Tylanator on a matching perspective. Baron is the target so far, and you can see the pit is littered with wards on both sides. It's going to become that push and pull game. Who's going to go answer this Gwen? Who's going to teleport? Who's going to overload this Baron? Both teams are just doing the waltz.
I'm sorry, I don't exactly know what the name of this particular Baron spawn is, but with the terrain the way it is, it's nearly impossible to make the Baron completely dark with the way that landscape is. There's so many different little corners to hide vision. So this is largely a face-up Baron, so no team is going to be sneak initiating it, turning off of it. It's too much information. So expect to see the next point of contention over at the Dragon in a minute. So they're doing some pre-vision sweeping here, but we're actually just going to start it. But like I said, everyone knows about this. If we can get the numbers in place in time and the Hex Gates are here, then Nico has a bit of a TP flank here, but the Baron's going down so incredibly fast.
Yep, red-white don't fight on Aphelios, showing why. Here's the Pop Blossom forward, grabs 4 members. Can they burn down the front line? Aphelios has to flash out. Hotline is already dead. Sutek can't get the Heartbreak reset. Iridescent will finally find the Nico, and this is where the Viego wants to be, but does he have the health bar to compete? Tylinator is going after him, will find that kill. On the other side, Surge has just been free firing, and ID Hydra, they overcalculate a Baron take and let Novasphere Myth back into it.
What are these mid-game decisions? We go for the throat, we go for it all, and we lose everything. All of the shutdowns lost. I'm speechless. ID Hydra absolutely lost their minds there. As I was saying, it is a dirty Baron, no matter how you're going to word it. And they lost 4 in that fight. What a massive comeback. Novasphere has absolutely come out to play.
And now they're going to be rewarded with Hextech Soul Point. It's going to be later than they would have liked. They would have liked to be grabbing it now, but they will have that win con because, like we talked about last game, Hextech Soul is so valuable, I think, compared to a lot of the other souls. So there's a clear and obvious win con, and like you mentioned, the gold injection they got, even if they did pick up Baron, with all those shutdowns and turrets taken, we are back to a pretty even state game here.
Yep. Expect again the same kind of rotations. We're going to see some waves answered. We're going to see a couple different sort of gank-S plays, and then the Baron and the Dragon are going to be spawning at around the same time. Giving Hextech Soul is incredibly dangerous, so expect to see ID Hydra playing very respectful and very conservative towards the Drake area, dropping lots of wards and trying to pick fights around here. As I say that,
they have Neofix picked. Pop Blossom defensively used, doesn't have flash to get out, but the Nature's Grass does a good job keeping the Nico safe, and now the Termite Cavalry. Ponyboy trying to just brunt. They have Vulture pin. Great pillar comes across from Tylinator, and now Sutek, he's got a Heartbreaker out of there, trying to run for the hills. Flash out from Hotline, and the only salvaging piece for ID Hydra is P. Diddy in the mid lane.
P. Diddy going to get a bit of that tower chip damage in the mid lane. We'll see if he is able to actually finish it. Yep, so the base has been perforated, but another great disengage. The cavalry came just in time. Neofix, a bit of a greedy recall, I would say, in a bit of a dangerous neighborhood, giving Vulture a good opening. But again, in the neighborhood that this Maokai is just seeming like such a defining pick of the series. The Nature's Grass range and the just unkillable, unstoppable front line that Maokai can provide.
0-1-8. I mean, this is the, like you mentioned, games defining type of tank Maokai performance that you are looking for. And I do want to make sure to sing the flowers of Neofix as well, because that Pop Blossom at the Baron pit, obviously that was we talked about how that was a misplay potentially from ID Hydra, but that 4-man Pop Blossom was what really kind of made sure it was a not good Baron play.
that was playoff form. That's something we want to throw into a YouTube highlight later, and we're only in week 2, so yep. Some fireworks coming out, and Neofix is absolutely not finished with this game yet.
A lot of key flashes still down for these carries. Should be coming up soon for Epic Fail Guy and Sutek. And Surge did actually try and flash to get another one of those kills bot side, so this Varus is going to be somewhat susceptible. And now you got Baron coming up in 2 minutes. It's back to that same sort of ebb and flow you talked about earlier, Jordan, bot clearing and pushing waves.
Yep. Baron's able to achieve mid-prio so easily with kind of insta-clearing the wave. It's going to be such a good tool for Nova to be able to achieve like vision control on both objectives, right? Because they need to make sure that the Baron sneak is not a possibility, right? But then they also want to prioritize Dragon. They don't need to push the pace at this moment because their opponents are the ones that are going to have to respond to this Hextech Soul. Because as you were speaking about, is if we do get the Hextech Soul, this Varus poke is going to be that much more potent. Suddenly a Maokai sapling is just an engage tool because of that AoE slow.
And as sweet as it is for everybody watching at home, this is nerve-wracking for both teams. Baron and Drake are basically synced up. They are 10, 12 seconds off. So they're both going to be hitting the Rift at virtually the same time here. And the real threat is still the same for ID Hydra. It feels like PD's Gwen. You don't see Novasphere Gaming Myth overestimating because they need to make sure they know where this Gwen is at all points. Cannot give up a flank angle for this Gwen to go crazy.
Yeah, and you'll see Gwen death cap completed, Secret Arm Guard in the inventory for that extra layer of safety. So expect a explosive fight from both sides. Will the Diego resets come through?
Yep, that becomes the question, right? And he does have the flash to go for one of those. He wants to outreach for it, but it's the same sort of problem that we talked about earlier, is if you are not finding a good window with, you know, this Maokai, this Renata not close by to some of these carries, you going in could actually lose you the game with how much disengage is available for NSG.
100%. Bolter's done a pretty good job of creating space and opportunities for his team. Given the surroundings, 0-4-7 is not a daunting scoreline. He's done the best with the champion limitations and the surrounding pieces. Jockeying for mid control here while setting up a bit of a death bush.
And
but again, we're gonna see. Are we posturing towards the Baron? Or are we posturing towards the Dragon?
Ooh, all right.
Is looking to initiate the Baron despite being on stall point.
Yeah, these are the big decisions. So they're going to leave Epic Fail Guy on the Hextech Drake, and they're going to try and contest this 5v4. Halfway down, Ponyboy pulls everybody off of it. And yeah, bot side, Aphelios can burn through that Drake, so it's getting taken on the backside. It's a stall game for ID Hydra.
ID Hydra has absolutely called their opponent's bluff, and they're going to come out massively ahead here. This was a dire state that the game could be in, and I think Novasphere, they postured in a neighborhood they were not willing to actually. They bit off more than they could chew. This was something that's they're gonna be scratching their heads if they're unable to come out with the victory here in game 2.
Now it's just delayed that big win con even longer. You got to think that Novasphere Gaming Myth know what a good team fight looks like for ID Hydra. They've seen it before. And Ponyboy, he's going to be the first one. They're jumping on top of this Maokai. That's not the right target. They're trying to burn through this tank Maokai, and it's going to cost the Pop Blossom down. Sutek will get to one of those resets, and finally the Aphelios online. Neofix falls, and the rest of Novasphere Gaming Myth have to run for the hills.
And you have to imagine that this is going to be a Baron start and maybe a turn after. Varus getting in here for a huge amount of poke land.
Red and white, don't fight, is still the rule here. Epic Fail Guys both those up. Will it be another Baron throw? There's no jungler available for NSG. Do they even want to try this? They can't secure the Baron.
They're going to secure it.
Yep. What a play. This game going back and forth, Jordan Bot.
ID Hydra is making just very clutch calls right now. They are thinking very clearly about what they have to do, and that movement where they threw Epic Fall Guy on the Dragon was honestly some very high level, very quick thinking.
And it wasn't even the best gun combination for Aphelios to burn that Dragon either. You would have liked the chakrams, I assume. For the most DPS, didn't matter. Like you mentioned, just calling that bluff so well. And now we are at 32 minutes, so I think it's worth bringing up that debate. We saw how good Surge's lane was earlier, but this is where I feel like the lethality Varus, Comet lethality Varus, can start to wane in his control over the game with this Aphelios now on the other side, Epic Fail Guy, at 3 items.
Gotta have to analyze what is the threat on the lethality Varus, because the idea in season 2024 that the Varus is somehow going to fall off is not exactly. The champion just provides a little bit too much, and the targets that he's throwing spells at are not the most tanky. The Rel being the exception, as that Q flies by and does 12 damage. But the threat on the Varus. So the question again, like these fights have to be explosive on the side of ID Hydra. The Rel engage has to be a little bit cleaner. We didn't like what we saw going onto the Maokai. They were able to finally shred through, and that might just be a little bit of a gold lead gap at this point. But it looked a little bit dirty when we were flying in on the full tank Maokai. So we'll see if we can keep doing that, steal the Maokai soul with the Viego, and then the fight is basically run from there. But I think the Varus coming into the later stages of this game, very poised to achieve what he wants. But we're still looking at just about a 6k gold lead here, and the first inhibitor of the game is going to fall.
Ponyboy doesn't get a good target with that twisted advance. I guess I was more sort of leaning that now the Aphelios is a worse problem, even if the Varus is a problem still, because 3-item Aphelios.
Yep.
Jesus.
Yep. Karma has transitioned into more of a enabler and
like
supportive. That. Yeah, like you've got your enchanter, you've got your engage champ as well in the Rel, right? So the transition has been good because Karma needs all of her carries to be extra strong, and they're going to be hitting hard in these next couple fights.
I just love this 4-1. You talk about how clear-headed ID Hydra is seeming to be thinking. I mean, just throw one on the side.
This corner is actually a little bit dangerous if the Nico can find some form of a flank or an angle here.
Oh,
we're gonna watch the pump watch.
Here we go. Does get 3. Epic Fail Guy flashes away. He's safe, but Valter is going to be the consolation prize. Huge Moonlight Vigil, though, from Epic Fail Guy. Turns the game on its head. They burn Nico. They burn down NSG. It's all left to search for the damage department, but he can't find these piercing arrows through the shielding. And this might be the knockout blow for ID Hydra.
Yeah. Honestly, a good look from Novasphere. That corridor in the bot lane when you look to group siege, that is a great battlefield for Maokai Nico to land a couple massive combinations, but we're just lacking the damage at this point.
Epic Fail Guy is very low. He teleported back in here. The Hollow Mist giving him a lot of space, and the damage dealers for Novasphere Gaming are just not up. Bit of an aggressive teleport, but it won't end up costing ID Hydra at all.
ID Hydra is just going to check all their boxes right now. The Soul Point Drake is coming up in 20 seconds. They just want to make sure to deny that from Novasphere, and then expect them to barrel down top lane to go for that triple inhib sequence. Just a sort of the cleanest way to look to maybe close out this second game. Excuse me.
What a win this would be for momentum's sake. Send us to a game 3 where you'd like to think that ID Hydra have at least figured out how to win. And that's a big thing to do in these best of 3s. Deny that soul point once more and now make it a possibility if the game goes long enough for ID Hydra, but I don't see it. I don't see us hitting the 40-minute mark the way they've been playing.
Yep, honestly, just great blows exchanged on both sides, and we got to see the strategic minds of both teams. We got to see a lot of laning talent, and we'll see getting towards the end side of these games with ID Hydra absolutely in the driver's seat. Is their game to lose. We will see if they lose their minds and Novasphere can find an angle, because this Neofix on the Nico has been finding some really nice engage combos, but we're just not killing anyone through these Karma shields. Karma has been provided a very valuable pick throughout the series.
Epic Fail Guy doesn't have either summoners this time. He was able to flash away from the rest of the damage that Neofix drops, so this is the window to go for it. But like you mentioned, it's going to be rougher and rougher to even really just gold match ID Hydra at this point.
Yeah, once the mid lane minions push in with that super minion, expect the base to kind of be surrendered. It's really hard to defend this. That being said, when the tower is up, what we saw on the bot side, it's a good battlefield, but we'll see what happens when everything spreads out. If all 5 players on ID Hydra can make it into the base without kind of getting pinched here, it's looking really good. So there's the surprise play from the Nico, and it's not going to catch anyone off guard.
Triple inhib is a death sentence in this game, for sure. So don't want to give that one up, but it's going to burn. P. Diddy, my God, the needle work just delete Surge. Surge is gone, and that might open the game up here for ID Hydra. The main damage dealer is taken out, and it will take down the front line. Ponyboy falls next. Nobody dead. Those Karma shields just topping off the rest of ID Hydra. And ladies and gentlemen, we are going to go the distance in back-to-back weeks. Game 3 in store.
Here comes the ceremonial taking of the Nexus. This has been ID Hydra taking the W in game 2.
What a great bounce back from ID Hydra. A squad, like I mentioned at the start here, is composed of the same 4 core members that they had back in 2023. And they showed that resolve in this one, because game 1 was kind of just a trouncing. And in points in game 2, Novasphere Gaming Myth had opportunities and honestly leads in this game, Jordan Bot, but now game 3, it's a whole different playing field.
Absolutely. Excited to see draft adaptations, excited to see play adaptations. Novasphere need to get their heads straight and their priorities straight on where they need to be striking on the map. That call to make the Baron a possibility instead of playing the Soul Point the way I think a standard team would play out. It's sort of a very high risk, high reward. I think we go Soul there almost 10 times out of 10. I don't know the inspiration of going for the Baron there, and they weren't even willing to really swallow the pill of what that looks like.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't I would agree the soul is the most important part, but if you're gonna do that flip, you gotta at least take Baron, right? Like you got to come away with the purple banner at least, but they end up with nothing, and that was really the first real sign of pitfalls for that game number 2. But enough about game number 2, Jordan Bot. It's gonna be a bit of an extended break, as I don't believe we have game 3 actually wrapped up, folks. But we will, on the other side of this intermission, have the series finale between two teams that know each other all too well. ID Hydra, Novasphere Gaming Myth, game number 3, right on the horizon.
when it's coming. Y'all sit back and watch me speak. About to take over your screen. Talking bulls in 93. Talking mom, I'm on TV. Y'all know all I do is me. All I do is me. Y'all sit back and watch me speak. Y'all sit back and all I know, my money green. About to snap and make a scene. My cup off and make this free. My cup off and make them scream. Go pop off for TMZ. Y'all sit back and watch me speak. Y'all sit back and watch me speak. Y'all sit back and watch. Watch me. Watch me. Watch me. Sit back and watch. Sit back. Sit back. Sit back. Sit back. Money long, nothing on credit. I got style, don't catch no feelings. All this bread ain't got no lettuce. I got style, don't catch no feelings. Watch me. Watch me. Sit back and watch. Sit back and watch. Sit back and watch. If it ain't got style, I ain't with it. I ain't with it. If it ain't got style, I ain't with it. Look, if it ain't got style, I ain't with it. I ain't with it. If it ain't got style, I ain't with it. Look, watch me. Sit back and watch. Watch me. Sit back. Sit back. Watch me. Sit back and watch. Sit back. Sit back. Sit back. Sit back.
I lied awake for days, counting all the ways I died. Everything I couldn't save, buried down, still half alive. It's got me crawling in my skin, but no one's coming out to hold me close. Pouring out the gasoline, yeah, I've been making friends with all these ghosts, and I got nothing left to lose. Fight to the future. Tell pretend a little longer, 'cause when we're gone, everything goes on. You were staring at the window, and I said, I wanna take you to the sea. And when I'm better, we'll do everything. I gotta stop making promises I can't keep. But if I was gone tomorrow, won't the waves crash on? Is it selfish that
Hello, everybody. Aegis faithful. I bring unfortunate news. I lied to you at the start of the broadcast. We, once again, are going to not be able to show you a game 3 of our showcase series. Yeah, so the same spectator freeze bug issue that causes watching a game live to sometimes spiral out of control, like I'm sure a lot of you guys know watching Tier 3 League right now. The avoiding way was to take the replays and just play them like normal, right? But now we figured out that the bug also causes replay files from those said games to sometimes be corrupted for all parties. So we have no way to watch game 3. All we have for you is the post-game screenshot that will now be thrown up now. And Jordan Bot, I want you to talk everybody through how you think this game played out, what you're seeing from these stats.
We'll try to keep things a little bit brief because it's such a disappointment that we won't be able to actually tell the specific story. We do know the result, and it was that Novasphere Gaming did come out with the series win. They showed a strong game 1. They really fumbled in game 2, and then they brought it back in game 3. So we can see Zach, Belveth, Silas, Ash, Milio, a very brawly comp with maybe some situational counter picks. And on the side of ID Hydra, Camille, Jax, Swain, Aphelios, and Maokai. And it just looks like the high variance that the Belveth Jax jungle matchup would provide with a Swain. I'm assuming a Swain blind pick, and the Silas was the counter pick. Anytime Swain and Silas are in the same game, it is terrifying for the Swain team. So Silas must have hijacked quite a few of the Swain ultimates and just overcame whatever ID Hydra could throw at them.
Yeah, it does look like if we had to crown an MVP, Jordan Bot, you guys put your opinion in a second here. I would say NeoFix is kind of the MVP of this series. He had an outstanding Azir game. He had some game-saving pop blossoms on the Nico, and like you already alluded to in this game, had a fantastic Silas performance. Top of the damage charts, 7-1 and 5, and he brings Novasphere Gaming Myth the win. A big-time 2-1 victory that will now propel them towards the top of the Dark Star division.
It's not too many series. I completely agree with you. NeoFix has earned MVP of the series. It's not too many. It's not too often that you see so many different styles. So game 1, he's on the control mage, right? Game 2, he's on the Nico, making game changes ultimates, and then game 3, he's on the Silas. It's so many different archetypes, and it challenges, is the player actually good at all of those styles and flexible enough to make those things work when the teams are posturing for, we're going to approach draft a lot of the way the pros do. We're going to be picking lots of the meta champions, right? And NeoFix absolutely showed consistency where some of the team faltered in terms of keeping the ball rolling. NeoFix had a solid night. GG's.
Certainly great series, both back-to-back weeks. You guys wouldn't be aware of that as that well because we haven't gotten to watch a game 3 yet. So all you really say is we hope that there's some sort of fix that comes along from Riot in the next week, because we're going to keep trudging along with Aegis as usual. This will be the conclusion of the Defenders League Week 2 showcase, but like I alluded to, there's a ton of other games going on through Aegis all week long. ADL really is kind of just the kickoff to the week here. You got AEL, AML, where Jordan Bot does play in, by the way, so make sure to tune in for that extra little spice. And it all wraps up going into the weekend, and we'll be back here for Aegis Defenders League Week 3, hopefully with a fully captured series for you guys. As always, though, it's been a pleasure being alongside you, Jordan Bot. Every week gets even sweeter. And PVS, I know our beautiful producer behind the scenes dealt with as much stuff that he shouldn't have to deal with as possible with the spectates, but got us through here and gave us a clean 2 and change games here. So Slayer signing off one more time here for you guys. Make sure to stay locked to the Aegis Twitter socials, see what the next series is, the next tournament comes along, and until then, take care.